focus on the Finance Bill 2024 debate that will today enter day 2 from the morning session that usually is not there on Thursdays, but the National Assembly agreed to actually schedule the morning hours session, that is from 9:30 a.m. even as the Gen Z have staged demonstrations in all major towns in the country and of course the Kenya's capital, Nairobi. We'll be seeing how that will actually pan out, bringing you wall-to-wall coverage as far as the Finance Bill 2024 is concerned. But before introducing my guests once again, let's focus on this story where police in Mombasa were forced actually to use or to lob tear gas to disperse demonstrators who are demonstrating against the Finance Bill 2024. This comes even as members of parliament allied to Kenya Kwanza maintain that the contentious taxes were scrapped off from the bill.
The demonstrators assembled at the famous Tusk in Mombasa at exactly 9 a.m. ignoring the rains, which were pouring heavily. They demonstrated along Moi Avenue as they displayed placards with clear message to their leaders to reject the finance bill, even after the alleged amendments.
Gania haki za watu, haki za wanawake. Personally, mimi ni mwanamke. Mkisema mtatax mpaka pads, where are we going? Tunaelekea wapi? Pads ni kitu nafai kuwe affordable. Kuna watu ambao hawajiwezi huko nje. Sawa, huyo anayejiita sijui Karen Nyamu alisema yeye anatumia tampons. It's okay for her, lakini if we have women using the common sense that she is using, we are going nowhere in this community. That is why watu wengi hawataki wanawake kwa serikali ama kwa cheo, maana vitu kama hizo.
We here at Mombasa, we never saw anybody coming to us with the recommendation of the finance bill or the proposals. And the proposals that are there, actually they don't meet the threshold of Kenyans. Kenyans, we are still struggling with our economy. We are still yet to recover from post-COVID. We are still to recover from electoral injustice that happened. And then we are being topped up with another burden of this finance bill.
They were, however, dispersed by police who lobbed tear gas on them. They, however, reassembled and stood firm as they headed towards Central Police Station. Despite the police lobbing tear gas, the youth were unmoved and continued chanting patriotic songs.
Hii ni peaceful demonstration. Hakuna mtu mwenye ako na silaha, but wametupiga na wameturushia tear gas na bado hatujakoma. Watuwekee flavor za orange mint, si pilipili.
Power belongs to the people and the servant belongs to the people, and therefore we are here to reject this finance bill that was amended or was partially amended without proper participation of common citizens.
It was a hide-and-seek kind of a game, as the protesters engaged the police in running battles in various roads within the CBD before they allowed them to continue with the demonstration without tear-gassing them. The demonstrators have vowed to continue with demonstration all over the country come tomorrow. Frederick, K24, Mombasa.
Meanwhile, the Data Protection Commissioner has warned against the unauthorized distribution of personal information on social media as MPs complain of an influx in text messages and calls from citizens urging them to vote down the finance bill. This even as President William Ruto affirmed Kenyans' right to participate in protests, saying it is within their rights. David Kagina with more.
Many MPs have been forced to switch off their phones owing to an increasing number of texts and calls urging them not to vote in favor of the Finance Bill 2024. This is after contacts of many of them got shared online in a wave of social activism against the bill.
I know many of these members, including myself, we have suffered a lot of harassment. And I was asking the leader of minority this morning whether he has suffered the same. And he told me his phone is worse. Many of these members of parliament today, Honorable Speaker, you cannot reach them on their phones because they have blocked their phones, including WhatsApp. But this is the beauty of our democracy, Honorable Speaker.
To this effect, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has issued a cautionary statement on sharing of personal data. The ODPC says sharing phone numbers, names, location and details of family members without consent is contrary to the provisions of Article 31 of the Constitution of Kenya, the Data Protection Act of 2019 and its attendant regulations, inviting those whose privacy has been violated to file their complaints with the Commission. Meanwhile, President William Ruto says Kenyans protesting are within their constitutional rights, which is part of a healthy democracy. The ball of what will and will not be passed is in the court of the legislators.
Civil society is free to do what they want to do. We are a democratic country. We have no problem. Those who want to demonstrate, they can demonstrate. It is their right. No problem. But the decisions have to be made by institutions. We will make decisions as the executive. Now Parliament will go and do their thing and make sure that we move it into the future. And if there are any issues, we have a judiciary that also helps us to make sure that they interpret situations appropriately.
This comes even as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions dropped charges against Boniface Mwangi and 4 others who were being charged for creating disturbance in a manner likely to cause a breach of peace and unlawful assembly, citing that the evidence presented did not meet the threshold to proceed with the prosecution.
So now we are only left with one question. If the DPP has no intention of charging them and they have a constitutional duty to carry out prosecution in this country, then what are these persons doing under the police custody? 24 hours are already over. They were arrested yesterday at 3 p.m.
The government and the IG, please let us respect the law of the land. That is why it is there.
Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua, however, blamed the protesters for an incident in which a police officer injured himself with a tear gas canister after failing to throw it towards the protesters in time after detonating.
That man is a father of somebody, a child in this country. Is a husband of somebody, has been disabled in the line of duty by these demonstrators. Nyinyi wasichana na vijana mnapo demonstrate hapo na kupigana na polisi. You have caused this man, a human being like you. How do you feel that that man is disabled? If it was you?
Waves of protests against finance bill continued today in Mombasa, with there being talks of such protests being witnessed in different parts of the country on Thursday as the MPs get to the third reading of the bill ahead of the voting on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. David Kagina, K24, Nairobi.
The studio just to dissect further the Finance Bill 2024 report and also the debate around it. Seated on my right is Honorable Dr. John Ariko, Member of Parliament, Turkana South, and as well, he is a member of the Finance and National Planning Committee, which gave the report on the Finance Bill 2024. Seated in the middle is Honorable Abraham Kirwa. He is the Mosop Member of Parliament, was joined us this morning, and as well the former President Uhuru Kenyatta's government official, that is Zach Kinuthia. He served as the Chief Administrative Secretary, that is CAS, or what others will consider as CAS, a position that in this government they are making attempts to restore it. Let's begin with the Honorable Kirwa. On harassment from Kenyans, what's your experience so far as shooting down the finance bill is concerned?
Good morning, Jaja. Good morning, viewers. I'm glad to be here this morning. It's another hectic and very busy week, and we're coming to the end of it. But it's been very interesting for all of us in Parliament and watching also the streets to see what's going on. But one thing that I want to show you is that the government iko sawa. Serikali iko imara, tuko sawa. This protest that we've experienced in the last 2 days or so from Gen Z, right? Gen Z is what they call it, young people, towards the bill, the finance bill. This finance bill really is very crucial. It was very crucial for all of us. And as we're going to discuss and look into it, Jaja, you realize that a lot of things, good things are in this bill, but it has been misconstrued to mean that everything that is in this bill is bad. Some of those contentious issues that was brought up have been sorted. And so we should have expected that now, when those things were sorted out, we should not have experienced a lot of these protests. But it looks like it was not really much about the finance bill, but there was more to it, to these protests that we are going to address as we move forward. But between today and Wednesday, as the bill will be passed, I hope it will be passed, and I believe it will be passed, Kenya will be peaceful again, and we go back to our normal activities of the day. But all in all, we care about this country. We care about the economy of the nation. And we want to really commend this government for this far that it has come, because when they came to office, there was so much that was off. But this government has tried. Since last year when we passed the Finance Bill 2023, now we are discussing the Finance Bill 2024. But as we look back, it was the right thing to pass the Finance Bill 2023 that has given us a lot of gains. And so even these two is going to make a big difference as we move forward, as you're going to look at some of the gains that we are going to gain as we move forward.
Perhaps how much have you received so far? And have you tried to reverse understanding that MPs are receiving money, 1 bob, 10 bob from Kenyans?
You know, we're getting one shilling to verify that this is on the Kirwa. We're getting so quite a bit of 1 shilling, 1 shilling, 1 shilling, 1 shilling. But we've been bombarded with so many messages, which I think it is now harassment. It's no longer about the bill. It is now become a harassment. And how they access our numbers of all the members of parliament. And then now they went ahead and sending messages. Some of them are really saying, look into it. Some are very abusive messages, what they send to you, until you just have to block them. But you block this one, a new number comes in. So you try to block this one. So you can't block it, so you just let it come. And, but we believe that this will come to an end soon.
So you haven't clarified how much you've received so far. Dr. Rico, you are a member of the critical Finance and National Planning Committee that was looking into the Finance Bill 2024. So far, how's the experience with Kenyans? Understanding, yes, you're from the minority, but you are sitting right in the middle of the decision-making table on the Finance Bill 2024.
Thank you, Chacha. Good morning, Kenyans. I want to say that we are headed to the tail end of engagement on budget process and revenue raising measures. Kenyans need to know that our government made a lot of promissory notes to the citizens of Kenya. And the way to achieve these promissory notes is through some policies. And one of the policies is the budget and the finance bill. So Kenyans must be ready to experience what the government, which policies the government is trying to present to them. What I want to say is this. Kenyans have perception that we do not need to increase tax every year. And that's why I normally say we need to have a realistic and negotiated finance bill so that we can operationalize this finance bill in several years, 2 to 3 years before we revise or do amendments to a particular finance bill. So Kenyans must be ready. The government of KK have a burden to demonstrate to Kenyans that the tax that they are levying to them are tax that are meant to finance what they had promised them. Thank you, Chair.
Zach, you know, recently, before the Gen Z took over the debate on taxes, the Mount Kenya region was keen and concerned on, you know, taxes that have been imposed on them, especially the Finance Bill 2023, that they've actually gone ahead to lament of how it has killed businesses. Now that, you know, Gen Z have taken it upon themselves to even reach out to MPs, and now it's being considered as harassment. But how best could the Gen Z's voice be brought out, in your opinion?
Never the best way than what they have done. You must give it up to them that they are taking advantage of technology. They are taking advantage of expanding space in the internet, and their expression is getting right into the hands of those people who make decisions. It is important to make that way. In 1992, the baby boom, rather the millennials demonstrating 92 and 97, the baby boomers demonstrating against the white man in 1960, 1961 to remove him here, had no advantage of internet. Had we been able to have gadgets like we have today, Sir Evelyn Berlin would not have declared Kenya a state of emergency in 1952. We would have written to him to tell him to stop the Queen nonsense in Kenya, restricting movement, restricting trade, restricting whatever. So today, the honorable members of parliament sitting alongside me here are only victims of technology. Not necessarily that the Gen Z are more lethal or more vitriol or more vulgar than their mothers or their sisters and siblings. No. Only that they have tools that connect them directly to Turkana South Member of Parliament, to Mosop Member of Parliament, who could not have reached, their mothers would not have reached, even them, they would not have reached to the members of Parliament who represented them when they were demonstrating over governance, because these demonstrations are not new. Every government has its own challenges. So I commend the people born between 1995. Nobody is here, those, but I'm happy because they have been able to go ahead. For me, I may not have been able to write a message to my MP, even if I had their number. But Gen Z, hawataki kujua na hawatambui. They are going straight into saying, hey, Member of Parliament Turkana South, please ensure that either you pass the bill as is or pass the bill as amended. And let me put it this way. Finance bill cannot unpass. It is important to put it that way. The people saying, hey, we are going to shoot down finance bill, they are lying. A finance bill will not be shot down. It can only be amended because it is a tool that has been submitted by executive to parliament for operationalizing fiscal year 2024, rather 2024, 2025. So for me, I would say this. It is important that members of parliament, especially the ones sitting here, and I'm happy I didn't know he was in the finance committee, to consider that the clauses that are controversial to Kenyans, the clauses that are bringing problem, be amended within within the interest that does not oppress the people. And government also should be careful not to reintroduce clauses that are hidden to recover this money. Because Kimani Kuria should have told us this and this and these 16 clauses have been removed, as the PG told us in State House. But we have said 300 and whatever billion that was supposed to accrue from here will either, one, be reduced from the budget, entire budget, or will be recovered in a certain manner as XYZ. Do you know what I suspect, Zach? I am suspecting that that was a decoy. And I'm sure MPs will table perhaps and tell us. Lastly, on Mount Kenya. The reason you see Mount Kenya boiling in terms of demonstrating on budget is because some of these tax measures that were levied last year, and he mentioned 2023, some of them are very punitive, like agriculture tax of 5%. Some of these things were extremely so bad that the businesses since then, we can do an audit, the tax audit of 2023 to 2024 budget year. Much of the business have closed, and worst business that closed is in Nanyuki, the assembly of motorcycle that always was there since 1977 because of, one, draconian, and two, unpredictable tax measures. So let's listen to the people. It is not bad, and I want to commend. I have heard the president say people can demonstrate. That's right. If he means it, of course I believe he doesn't mean it. But for those who can take his word that he means that people should demonstrate is within their Article 38 picketing right, sawa, if it is. But if it is not, members of parliament sitting here should remember they have not been appointed in parliament. Like me, I was appointed in the executive, so I had one boss. But for them, they don't have one boss. They must listen to the people. And the problems of the mountain is a problem of the rift. The problems of the rift are the problem of Turkana people.
Well, Honorable Kirwa, still on the same issue of Kenyans accessing your contacts, are we having, you as MPs, having lost touch with the ground? Understanding when you have a school-going child, of course you'll have the contact of the class teacher and even the principal head teacher. So it's still proper for them to have your contacts as, their MP. I mean, you are their representative. Is it wrong for Kenyans to have your contacts? What was actually happening initially, now that even some of them have gone ahead to switch them off?
Chacha, our numbers has always been public. As a public figure,